Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and I'm joined by Mike Jones. Hello, Mike Jones.
Well, maybe if I unmuted my microphone, that would help.
Yes, yes. Now,
Yes. Hey, Dale Matthews, what's going on?
well,
What is
last
that
night,
strange thing you got on your computer there?
the strange thing I've got on my computer is called badcounty.com, and it's little known what? And it's a
Yes.
little known web what? And it's got pictures of people smiling and laughing, even though some of them are not smiling and laughing anymore because, well, I thought you were my friend. You were going to do only positive stories about me. Not exactly. How about true stories about what you've said and done? Sorry, but we're not going to be playing favorites. Except, I kind of do like there's a couple of people in county government and city government that I think are pretty nice and do a good job. That's my personal opinion. I'm entitled to a personal position. No, he means this. What this purports to be is a whole bunch of cars all going one way, streaming out of Grants Pass because of the tax.
Yes. And there seems to be only half a bridge there.
There's only half a bridge seat because
who blew the bridge?
oh, well, see, what happened was we actually gave the sheriff a little bit more money, and then that resulted in an earthquake.
Oh, yes. And there was, of course, no more money in the roads fund to fix the bridge. So.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
As Cheryl Walker just said Wednesday, everything else is falling apart because of the suggestion to give the sheriff more money when that was their original plan. None of that makes any sense.
Yes,
So,
it certainly doesn't.
so what's happening tonight is this is part 2 of 17 parts. No, part 2 of 2. And we're playing back for you the statements that people made, the questions and answer session at the Grants Pass city meeting, which is about should we have a city tax, a Grants Pass city tax, sales tax. And you'll find that the answers from the city are like 2 to 3 to 4 times longer than the questions. Now, what we'll do is, I'm working on it now. We'll take all of the questions, all the things that regular people had to say, all of them, pluses and minuses, and we'll string them together. If we put in the questions and the answers, the happy answers from the city, there's no way anybody would watch it. It'd be way too long. So we're going to put in the questions. And then if you want to see the questions and answers, you can watch last night's show, which was an hour, tonight's show, which is an hour approximately, or you can just watch, here's the kinds of questions that people had of this thing. And we've got people in the audience who said, gee, I think it's wonderful. Most people didn't say that, but there were a couple of people who said that. Okay, you're entitled to your opinion, and we're going to play it back. I saw Simon Hare in the hallway this morning. Yeah, this morning. And I said,
did he high five you?
No, he was coming back from the bathroom. I don't like to shake his hand and stuff like that after he's coming back from the bathroom. Anyway, and he goes there a lot. And I said, we have something coming up that you may be interested after last night and tonight, and that is we're going to be playing back the entire city council debate discussion. It was pretty hot about whether Eco Northwest should be the place that they're going to determine our financial future. Cheryl Walker has essentially thrown in the towel. Of course, she'd say it 10 other ways. Why? No, I'm totally in charge. Yeah. Anyway, the Grants Pass and the county are ganging together, joining together in a happy Congress to decide to let somebody from outside our area come up with economic development plans for us. As Cheryl would put it, because we've been doing such a stellar job.
Yes. And you know what? Listen, these people are going to come in and they're going to have exactly the same kind of ideas. It's not going to be any different. It's just another scammer. It's pathetic. I don't know why. I mean, how often do you have to see the same movie, before you know what the outcome is going to be?
I saw that Scanner movie.
Ridiculous. Yes.
Scanners, where people could think and things would happen because
scammers.
But that's not these guys because they're not thinking, and so nothing happens. Nice. Okay, that worked out.
You say so.
Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do is Now, if you're interested in seeing this, I hate it when they talk. Why are you watching this show? Okay, we provide the news and we provide some commentary. This is a mystery to you? Some people, apparently it is. So what we do is we're going to play this back, and we're not going to keep stopping it and laughing about it. We're going to laugh about it a little bit while it's happening. Okay, and then
Yes.
so that's your laugh track. Oh, many of you grew up with a laugh track when we were
You're
kids.
in the audience with us, and unfortunately, you have to put up with our comments. It's like being in the theater and somebody has something to say about the movie. Oh, that's just fake.
Oh, it's not that bad.
No.
Okay, big
Yes, it is.
We make
It's
little wry
it's every
comments.
bit that bad.
We make little wry, crisp comments during.
Right, crisp. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Yes.
And we crack each other
I like
up.
those. What happened to Rye Crisp? I love those crackers.
They were discontinued because of the GMO requirements.
Really?
I don't know. No, I don't know. Okay, so
maybe my wife just doesn't buy them. I don't go to the store. She does.
Well,
maybe that's what the problem is. That's what the problem is.
It's a prepared food, and you have to pay it. You're going to have to pay a tax in Grants Pass on prepared foods.
And I'm a tax rebel, so I'm going to make my own damn Rye Crisp at home.
I can see it's going to be made out of kelp and seaweed.
Yes.
Yeah, seaweed. Okay, so
you know what? And here, a quick aside.
Oh yeah, right. I think that always works. Okay.
No, it will be quick. My son sends me this video of these women in Haiti, and they spend all day making these cookies. They're big cookies about this big around. You know what's in them? Dirt. They're
cookies?
Dirt cookies. These people are so poor, and they're convinced somehow that there's minerals and nutrition in these cookies, that they eat these dirt cookies made from mud.
Now, wait a minute.
How pathetic their economy is.
There are an awful lot of society matrons who will pay big bucks to get in a mud bath because the dirt in the mud bath has these restorative properties.
Okay. Yes, but you don't eat it. These people are eating dirt cookies because they have no other food.
Oh, that's pretty awful.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. Anyway, and on to cheerier subjects.
Wow, that really cheers me up, Mike. I really feel like watching people argue about sales tax now.
Yes.
Well, all right. So what's going to happen in this is the people are going to speak, and then Jay Meredith, who's the finance director and head levy guy, he's with the city, and some other guy, they're going to explain it all to you about why it's all such a great idea. And you can see this here. You could have seen it perhaps if you've got cable TV, but you probably didn't, and you can watch it here, and then we will play back only the questions from the audience. We'll post that so you can look at it and complain about that. So here we go.
My name is Frank Wright, and I'm one of the owners of the Kitchen Company. And it's really hard to conduct a business in Grants Pass, and one of the reasons is it's kind of a small population base. And so one of the things that our business depends on is being able to bring people in from out of the area, primarily Jackson County and Douglas County and the coast. And I've already heard from several customers who have gotten wind of this sales tax that said they will make a special point to not shop in Grants Pass should this pass. And I can tell you that if I have to rely on the small community here to support my business, I don't believe I can make it. I depend on people coming from other areas, and it's like, welcome to Grants Pass, the only city in the state of Oregon where you have to pay more for things.
Okay, right here.
Hello, my name is Joe Ridenauer. I'm a city resident. I have voted against the past levies because I didn't think it was fair to punish literally property owners when I know Mr. Gates had kind of a low number. Actually, I think renters are actually more like 63% of the population here. But I do know that this is a big travel town as well, and I didn't ever think it was fair that people coming through weren't really being, obligated to pay what they were using here. Anyway, but part of my point was, since this would be a votable measure to vote in, my first question is this votable to retract it? Second question, more of a comment. was that there's a lot of great examples here about exemptions, but not any examples of what's really being included in the tax. I think it would have been great to see some of the really common stuff that's going to add up to that $8 million number that people will be hit with, particularly the percentage against the $1,000 cars, obviously, but other things that people will hit every day. And the last comment I had was if the committee had any consideration about doing a combination, for me, example, I wouldn't mind continuing paying the little utility fee on my water bill in combination with something else, but just straight across sales tax might be a little too much for me to consider. And actually, one last thing I'm thinking about now is because this is such a travel town, was there consideration just to limiting it to, again, just hotels and eateries, restaurants, because that will accommodate, a huge amount of business that comes through summertime. Thank you.
I'll try and hit on all that. Just let me know if I missed any of the questions. But as far as whether the committee and all the business input, all of the committee's meetings have been open to the public. We've received feedback from various businesses in town, and the general feedback that the committee has received throughout the meetings that we've had so far is, don't single out any type of business. Make it fair and equitable across the board. And so that's generally why instead of listing all the businesses where the tax would apply, we're listing the exemptions, because most of the day-to-day businesses, services, or retail would apply. Now, most of the revenue would be, in our case, would be generated from retail sales. Retail is a fairly broad category that includes pretty much everything except maybe restaurants. When you think about the stores, retail stores in Grants Pass, so the Walmarts, the Home Depots, all of those that you typically think of as retail would make up the largest share of contributions to the program. And fast food is you can consider it type of retail, but in the analysis that we did, we kind of broke that out separately. Services would apply, although the amount of revenue coming from services is a pretty small part of the equation. Retail, what would be categorized as retail trade, makes up, I believe it was about 77% of what the estimated revenue for the recommendation. And so the difference, the additional 23% would be made up from restaurants, fast food, and various services in Grants Pass. But another thing that we thought was really important is to avoid taxing business inputs. So wholesale inventories, raw material purchases, and even the services that are applied to other businesses. So if you're a business and you're just providing a service to another business, there's no tax on that. Really, we're looking for the final sale transaction so that we're avoiding taxing a service or a supply twice. And did I hit on all your general questions there? Did I miss anything?
This is their audio,
Well,
not
I
our
guess
audio.
Oh, yes.
there's the business I want to be in, the one that supplies to other businesses. I get to be tax-free and you don't.
At any point, if they chose to, they could eliminate it or lower the rate. And there's no provision currently built in that would come back to the voters at a certain point, but the city council does have the legal authority to drop it. They just don't have. There's no authority without another vote of the people to increase that rate. Now,
yeah, hold the microphone up to the guy. What's the matter with you?
Okay. Going windshield wiper here. I've got a gentleman in the green shirt.
Why did their committee not listen to the Chamber of Commerce? They don't want this.
My name is Jim Gower. I'm a resident of the county, and I think this is a spectacular idea.
There you go.
It's time that we looked at including everybody in the county in how we handle our income and our fees.
How does this do that?
I heard the complaints about low-income people not paying taxes on their rentals. Well, they pay taxes. We have income property, and they pay taxes, believe me. It's built into the rental rates. You'd be foolish not to do that because you have to pay the taxes yourself. They just don't know how much, as a rule. As far as low-income people being hurt by that 1.75% fee, that's 15 cents on a pack of cigarettes. How many low-income people are operating in that margin? Same way with beer. Most of the low-income people I know, those are the two staples. But
yeah, that's right.
But it doesn't apply to beer and cigarettes.
So obvious to me
man.
is all this discussion.
But I mean, look at what this guy thinks of low-income people. They live on beer and cigarettes.
But he's also wrong.
Yes, of course he is.
Is countywide. It's a lack of self-image for the county.
What?
People in Grants Pass are Grants Pass people. People in Selma are Selma people. People in Cave Junction. You know, the county is an entity. And if we don't build some kind of structure, have some kind of rapport with everybody within the county.
This is going to bring us together.
Working
yes. Wow. What a bizarre rationale.
I think everything we're doing is just a patch. It's addressing the symptom and letting the disease kill us.
Well, listen, why don't we make it a 50% sales tax then?
Real quick.
That'll really get us living as brother and sister.
Beer and tobacco are not going to be taxed under this program. So
beer and tobacco are not going to be taxed under this program. Oh, jeez.
But any supplier service that
Staples.
already has a separate regulatory structure, such as tobacco and alcohol and gasoline, all through a state program, there's no tax associated with those items. So
why is that? Because they're already taxed by the state.
The city could not tax that because it's already being taxed by the state. So that's already automatically exempted.
Well,
the task force tried to, as mentioned before, try to take as comprehensive as approach. So not to target certain things, but to across the board, just try and do it as comprehensive.
Because we want a little piece of everything.
Possible. And that also
comprehensively by not talking with the city, the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. My name's Carol Johnston, and I would like to take exception to one of the things that the mayor said, which is we folks that live in the county do care, but we have a different way of looking at things than people who live in the city. And I think you'll find that throughout every state in the country is city people vote one way and county people vote another. I think what we're most concerned about in the county, the people that we know, we want law enforcement, but we want the money that's already allocated to be spent properly, and we want it to be very transparent in the way it's being spent.
Yep.
That would be nice.
So why would we
I like this gal.
allocate more money if we don't know what you're going to do with it or how you're going to do it or whether you're going to do a good job with it? I certainly wouldn't give more to my children if I didn't know what they were doing with it or if they were doing a good job with it. So I think that's something that needs to be looked at, the transparency of how you're spending the money that you have now.
We're right out in front on that.
Plus grant money that
Mike and I are trying to be
on top of what they already
by
have.
talking on top of you.
Very transparent, and it's not. And so because of that, a lot of us in the county, maybe not everyone, but a lot of us in the county feel that that needs to be on the plate first. Let's do some housekeeping. Let's do some cleaning. Let's figure out what we're doing with the money we have now, and we're not wasting it before we get more on our plate to play with.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't play with your food.
Here.
My name is Bob Johnston. I live in the county. I don't think I can be as eloquent as my wife here, but I have some comments to make. And before somebody wants to label me as anti-law enforcement, I'm 30 years retired as a police officer, and I spent a lot of my time working with the union and working with the county, and I saw directly problems with funding. But I can tell you a couple things here. What I see here that I'm a little bit offended by is this presentation tries to draw a line between city residents and county residents and say the city, not directly, but indirectly in what they've said, that the city people are paying more toward law enforcement than the county people.
That's right.
And that's not fair.
Yes.
But when 80% of the crime is committed in the city, I think the city should pay a bigger pay.
That's right.
And I can tell you that the department that I work for a sheriff's department, The cities, both cities and the county I work for, paid bed fees. Every time somebody was brought in, they paid a fee for that person, for the county to maintain them.
That's
That's
right.
what the city's doing now, and that's what they should do.
That's right.
If they're occupying the majority of the beds in the jail, they should be paying for those beds.
That's right. But here's the problem.
What I'm offended by here is the
They're
city
taking it out of your sewer
trying to
bill.
force a tax
Without
on
your
every
permission.
resident of the county. And then when the county 4 times in a row said, we don't want any more taxes.
9 times in a row.
Then on top of that, they're going to kick back to the city residents
Not our audio.
20% or 2% of their property tax to ensure that they vote for this measure. But there's a bill coming up, HJR 21.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody mentioned
that is
this.
going to set property taxes in every county in this state at 2%.
Not 2%,
It's going
$2.
to probably pass because already a majority of the counties pay over 2%. Well, they're going to vote for it because it isn't going to raise their taxes. So then what's going to happen? You're going to be paying this sales tax, and Josephine County is going to have a minimum tax of 2% on all the property in Josephine County.
Yep.
That needs to be a primary issue here. And then what I've heard here also is
Dwight Ellis is
that
back.
right now we're not really in a crisis. So why are we doing this? For the future? Well, let's see what HJR 21
Yeah,
says, because
that's
if
right.
the bill passes, Josephine County will have more than enough money to fund all of its jail facilities. So I think we need to take a look back at,
And that's why they want this on the ballot this November,
Yes.
so they can pass it before the other one comes in, because they want that on top of this.
This is going to go on the ballot. And the only people that are going to get to vote for it, my understanding, you can tell me if I'm wrong, are the people that live in the city of Grants Pass.
That's correct.
I'm going to have to
I
pay the
think
sales
that's correct.
tax. Well, I'm
Yes.
not, because I'm going to Medford. Thank you.
So two things to, I guess, point out in that to answer your one question is that, yes, it is a vote of the city residents only, and all other funding mechanisms for the criminal justice system were considered at a council level before they developed this.
Yes, they consider
yes.
everything. Mike, everything.
All other
One
things. That's
funding
right.
mechanism you mentioned was
You know,
considered, but those things.
This
are
was the
still
only
out.
possible thing left.
What's going to happen with them, if they're even going to come to fruition. And right now, we do have a real emergency when it comes to the criminal justice system.
Oh,
So it's an emergency in Grants Pass? Not a-
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. They got full funding. They got the bed thing. They got.
Have they talked with the police chief about this? Really?
Yeah, this is smoke. This goes in direct conflict with the conversation we had with the chief the other day.
That's right.
My name is Scott Draper, and I am a resident of the city, and I do operate a business within the city.
He was the head of
I
cuffs.
agree with my
Yes.
fellow county resident here on several things, and primarily that this is more of a state issue. Yeah, I don't think that it almost seems like that we feel that there's some perceived bad guy in the county, and so and that's dad, and now the son is going to make up for the sins of the father and do all this stuff. I have a question on how we got from.
Well, Scott, that's what you were saying before.
Darren had said, Mayor Fowler.
Yes, that
said
is what they were saying.
it was translated because of
People
the
from
vote
the
that we
county
saw there
coming in
4
to
or
do
5
crime in
times in a row where
city.
The majority, sometimes significant
Like
majority of
ISIS.
city voters said, yes, we want to pay for this through a property tax. Where and how did we get a translation that meant we wanted to think outside the box? In other words, have you looked at, I mean, we still have 2 years of what the voters said, how we want to pay for this. And then after that, the voters already said, the city voters said clearly they wanted to pay $1.40 more. Now that was for some county stuff too, so maybe it's not $1.40, maybe it's 40 cents or 50. Has that been looked at? That would be my primary question. Then, have you found an example of this anywhere in our country? I know you said outside the box that this is, it looks like to me, I looked and I couldn't find anything of an example. And I know you're using as an example other states. You'd even mentioned, Jay, compared to other states. This isn't a state sales tax. It's a very different thing when you're talking borders the size that that we have. I think that has to be considered. Those would be my two primary questions. And I do have to say thank you for the effort. I get it. I get that.
Yeah, Jay was his ally on last levy.
I don't
Yes.
think we have to be, but I get the effort and the spirit of this, and I appreciate it.
Funny how when your ox is being gored, the shoe gets on the other foot.
One of the concepts was,
When
yes,
your Oxfords are being gored.
we're,
Yes, exactly.
provided an opportunity to vote on a levy. So a couple of things council considered when we were looking at funding options for a criminal justice system, public safety system for the city of Grants Pass. One is a levy is temporary in nature. City council was trying to come up with a permanent solution
Yes.
for permanent services that need to be provided.
God, they love this permanent
levies are great
idea.
for capital improvements, big water projects, or whatever kind of special
Water
programs we
projects.
have.
Special.
Your water bill.
Yes, special
But
programs.
Trying to match up a permanent funding solution with permanent programs was one of the key things. The
Fancy
other
bus
thing was
stops.
council members were hearing from their constituents that, can we try something else besides property taxes? I'm sort of tired
Oh,
of
yes.
property
Another kind of tax. Any kind of tax.
So
Let's
they
have a wide
that
variety,
was
a
another reason why they
multicolored
were wanting
variety of
other
taxes.
than
And while you're at it, don't give us a voter's pamphlet
The
either.
question about
Right. They didn't want one either.
is this done anywhere else in the country? We didn't look at the few other states that don't have a sales tax program to see if there were any small communities or cities.
No,
or
why would we
smaller
look at that?
pockets that set up a program all on their own. But we do have two somewhat similar examples right here in Oregon. The city of Ashland has a food and beverage tax, which is basically a sales tax on prepared food and beverages in the city of Ashland. And the city of Yachats, a small coastal community, has a very similar thing
Oh,
as
there's
well.
a good
So
comparison.
there
Yeah.
Yeah.
are
Yes.
cities in Oregon that
Bunch of
have done
yahoos.
something exactly like this, but have set
In
up
both
a
places.
local sales
Yes.
tax program to meet some of their financial challenges as well. Ashland has been doing it for about 25 years, and in speaking to the finance director of Ashland, who's been there at least that long, if not longer, very similar concerns when that program first started. Worried about is this going to cause cross-border shopping? And the city of Ashland, about 5 years ago, re-voted on the issue and approved it for a second time.
It's been a stellar
Oh,
success.
shocking.
Yeah.
A standing example right
Yes.
there in Oregon.
The
Ashland.
council did, not
Right.
not the
Oh,
citizens.
Thanks. My name is Rick Hernandez. I am not a resident of Grants Pass. And when I look here on the draft proposal, I see that the anticipated revenue is a little over 8 million. When I whip out my calculator and divide 8 million by 1.75%, that translates to $460 million of commerce alone. But my question actually is anticipated revenue. Can you break down the costs associated with collecting the tax, administrating the tax, and sending that money to the different agencies, and how that will be done? Because I think
It's going to be
$8
minimal.
million of revenue, but there's will be overhead over and above that. That's not really addressed here in this draft proposal.
That's
And I
right.
think really needs to be brought out.
Because they don't care. It's not their money. It's yours.
You're going to be collecting taxes for them.
Yes.
Think of the money the city will save on tax collectors.
Built up and then maybe suddenly dismantled. So there'd be a cost associated with that. So the full costs for this have not really been broken out and revealed.
Because they don't care about that.
Good question. Thank
It's
you.
not their problem.
Jay?
It's yours.
Yeah, so that's why the recommendation of the 5% of the taxes collected end up being a rebate back to the businesses that collect to help cover that cost of the infrastructure cost of collecting. On
Why
behalf
collect it
of
in the first
city.
place if you're going to give it
So
back?
that would, the goal or
Missing
the hope
something?
there is that covers the business cost of reporting under the program. And then on the city side, it's estimated that obviously there's going to be some costs on the city side as well. It's estimated to be cost of less than 3% of the revenues collected on the city side. Other resources would pay for that, not this tax directly.
Other resources. You can see all these questions in their entirety, like this guy that you can't hear now, by looking at our posted video on
So
this.
I'm sorry, I said 3%, not 30%. 3% would be the most that we estimate to be the city's cost of administering the program. And then the 5% rebate of the taxes collected back to business, the hope is that that would cover the business cost of participating in the program.
Participating? Oh, can you opt out?
One,
Fine.
yeah, one decimal point over, so only about $240,000 of costs on the city side.
You're just 1 decimal point over. So
And
okay, you've had 3%.
One more quick thing there, Aaron. The figure of total sales that would apply, you're probably in the ballpark there. Everybody might be interested to know that Josephine County, the whole county itself, has well over 900 million just in retail trade. That's how much retail trade happens in this county. And so that's not even the service or the non-retail trade. So the entire county actually does a significant amount of business, over 900 million per year.
Why does it cost them $240,000 to administrate this program?
What I would, sorry, yes.
It's May Rafferty
My name's
here.
Lorraine Rafferty, and I live in the county. My husband and I have a business in the city, and what actually Jim thought of this and what he'd been wondering is if the city would be able to open, I mean, if this does actually get on the ballot and it is something that's actually voted on, does the city have the ability to say that anyone who owns a business in the city will have a vote? Because, you know, as business owners who don't live in the city, we don't have a say. And we, you know, I mean, we're in the county. And so our question is, could it be opened up so that business owners, I'm sure there's a lot of small business owners in the city, you know, that do live in the county.
I'm one of them.
And I was just wondering if that could be open to allow us.
Absolutely not going to allow that.
This.
Yeah, no, I've never been allowed to vote on
Bob Draco
things that affect
there,
my property.
You know, commenting that it's really going to be a hassle just to, you know, for the business owner to collect the money. And then some of the businesses, you know, including some of the big ones, you know, Home Depot, Diamond, and even our little business, we do trade that, you know, what could be considered retail and wholesale in the sense that we are selling some of our product to people that take that product.
That'd be lovely to separate those out.
And so, you know, on Home Depot, I mean, all the construction, all that, I would think would go into that because they're going to take that product and remake something out of it. And maybe you didn't take that out of your figures. I don't know.
They did address this
But for
earlier.
the business,
Yeah.
Services
have
to businesses and
differentiate
wholesale
and ask the
products are
customer
not
and say, well,
charged.
are you buying this in order to take the product and make something and sell it to somebody else, or are you buying this for yourself? How do you deal with all that?
Do you have to declare that when you buy it?
You want to take the
I think that you would have to buy. Yeah, it was a retail, a wholesale
Sure. The voting one,
thing.
federal, state, local laws, when it comes to election law, is that you have a right to vote based on your residency. So it's those residents that would be the ones voting on this, not property owners, but residents.
Yeah, and so your question about raw materials that other businesses might put into developing something, there wouldn't be a tax associated with that. And the recommendation as it exists today is a business exemption structure that exempts raw materials. And so businesses are going to have a certificate that they can show to other businesses saying, you know, I'm purchasing this as part of my trade, and so there won't be any tax associated with that. And the program will operate very similar. Most states do.
What
most
if your
states that
business
have
is
sales
raising
tax
children?
have a similar program.
Well, listen.
So we're-
Say, the raw materials to raise my children?
Yes. Well,
and most
not only
businesses
that.
have a business license and pay the annual business license fee in the city will just
There's going to be a
automatically
tremendous amount of record keeping on this. And
Yes.
you're going to have to be able to verify that you did indeed buy these things at a wholesale thing for whatever, and also what you
My name
sold.
is Mark Hutto. I actually live in Medford, but I own a company, a coin and jewelry shop here in town.
Oh, this is the guy.
On one in
Yeah.
Ashland. I was in Ashland back in the 90s when they passed the mills tax. And there was a very good reason they didn't pass the sales tax. It's because it would destroy the local economy. My shop in Ashland does 30% of its business because people come in from California to avoid the sales tax. Once you pass the sales tax, it never goes away. Another thing, this idea of pitting Oregonians against each other, that is property owners against business owners,
Yep.
was discussed years ago in the Ways and Means Committee in the state of Oregon. They nixed it because it's a very, very bad idea. There's no economist, I know by looking at this because I'm an economist. I went to school for international economics. No one has looked at this to see the damage it's going to do. And it's also very divisive. You hear the comments around the room, people are already very angry at each other.
Yeah.
Now, I work in a business that works on 1% and 2% margins. When someone comes in my shop and asks me what the cost of this gold bar is, it's $40 over the cost of gold. With this tax, it's going to be $157.
Whoa.
Wow.
Today, in my shop alone, over 5 cent difference in cost of silver rounds, I had 2 customers walk out. So yes, it's going to make a difference. A gentleman over here said we don't have
That's
a
right.
vote.
I've bought
I have
from
plenty of money.
from him before.
Right outside the city. I can create an information kiosk within the city, and I can move the
Yeah, Mike buys gold. I'm lucky if I can buy food.
People can leave this area and they can shop. We are also in the internet age.
I don't.
Okay.
I haven't bought any gold. I bought some silver rounds.
Okay, that's different.
Well, they're $15 a piece at this point. You're stupid if you don't buy them.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And create 30 new jobs, really good jobs that the legislature destroyed. I know that people shop online, and they'll shop online for as little as a $5 difference. So
that's right.
Step and open this door because it sounds good temporarily. You're going to destroy Grants Pass. And I opened the shop here because I love this city. The people here are fantastic people. I love these people. And the town, if we lose just 6 shops in the downtown area of Grants Pass, it's going to become a ghost town again like it was 5 years ago. The city is starting to move forward. It's better than Medford. It's way better than Medford, and we should keep it that way. And people will shop in Medford because of this tax, not just on principle, but also on cost, because a lot of people have to go to Medford anyway. I'm probably near my 3 minutes. I don't want to hog too much time, but thank you very much.
Okay. That's it. Public comments, my friend.
Yeah.
And you've got our comments too. Whoa.
Yes, and that last guy, it's a great point. You know, listen, you don't go, hey, look, we're making a profit. We're finally doing better. Let's suck a little bit more out of that for coffee and donuts every morning. Oh, wait a minute. Now we don't have as much money. You know, this is a stupid thing to do. You don't sandbag the economic performance, especially, listen, if you're getting any type of decent economic activity in a county like this right now,
that's really good.
What you want to get in there and tinker with that formula? That's stupid.
But they haven't hired their high-priced people from out of town to tell us about how to do economic development. So they just don't know. So they're groping in the dark, Mike. They don't know what to do.
Listen, the city wants more money to do more things and to pay more people and to listen. They're desperate to get the juvenile justice center back open. That's part of what they're going to fund with this thing here. And a lot of people say, oh, no, you have to, the children again, this is about continually expanding the scope of government and making it bigger. Listen, we need as streamlined as a government as we could possibly have in this county, in this city.
We have
right
the
now.
opposite. We have the opposite at the moment.
Right. And it's dumb. And they want more money so that they can fund more of that. Now, call me crazy. I don't care.
You're crazy.
Yes.
All right. Hey, these guys are absolutely convinced that this is going to fly because they know their constituents. They don't know the Chamber of Commerce, apparently, which is odd to me. But they're absolutely convinced that this is the way to go. Look, we've got unwavering support from our constituency. As much as they love Go Rogue as our new logo, they're going to go for this.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily jump right in bed with the Chamber of Commerce. They're on the crappy side of most of this stuff most of the time. So I don't
language, my friend.
I don't buy into their, listen, here's the one reason why they're in opposition to this, because they know that most of the people that they deal with every day hate it. That's why they're.
Well, but I'm bringing this up because not because I think that the Chamber of Commerce is brilliant, the brain trust of the city. I'm bringing it up because really the city council and this stellar group of advisors didn't take into account what the Chamber of Commerce is saying. There's no connection between it. Even Simon Hare couldn't connect the dots from one to the other. You can't. Really? And the Courier, even the Courier is running actual news stories about this and talking with both sides. The Courier? So
that is weird.
Okay, I'm telling you, this is part of the war on women. And let me tell you why.
Yes, that's right. It is.
I'll tell you why. Because, see, guys go out and they raise a ruckus and a few beers, and they raise, bigger money by selling widgets to people. Right. Women, in some cases, not all cases, have been the traditional family raisers, okay? And sometimes hell raisers. I like that kind. And so they're building a crop. And their crop is the future generation. And you're going to tax them disproportionately. It's the war on women.
Yes.
Buying
right.
that? I don't
know.
Well, but it sounds good.
Yeah, but wait a minute. No, listen. That makes as much sense as anything else that they're doing. No, you need to pay attention. Listen, you know who you need to pay attention to? You need to pay attention to Scott Draper.
Well,
Scott Draper has a business. Yeah, Scott Draper has a business that he doesn't want to have to deal with this. He doesn't want to have to deal with it, and I don't blame him. I'm with Scott Draper on this one. Okay.
Well, think of that.
I'm with that guy who owns the coin business.
Yeah. Oh, well, that guy I get.
I'm with the guy that owns the coin business. I'm with Jim Rafferty. Jim Rafferty, he's like, hey, I don't even get to vote on this. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't get to vote. I own a building in town. I don't get to vote on what happens with my property taxes. All kinds of crazy stuff happens. My water and sewer bill goes up. I have to pay, hundreds more a month to support this jail bed situation. But that comes out of my bottom line.
Mike, this is going to bring us together in exactly the same way that on one hand, you got the finance director, Jay Meredith, in charge of SOS. On the other hand, you've got Scott Draper in charge of cuffs. They were marching lockstep for Levy. Now they're on opposite sides.
Yes, that's right.
How it's going to bring us together in this city and county.
Yeah, Jay Meredith, where's that business that you own in the city? Right. Oh, you don't have one of those. Yes, gotcha. No,
well, this is just on the back of
Jay Meredith now. Jay Meredith, you got to watch out for this guy because he is a slick talking dude. Do not trust this man.
Wow, I would have said that about the assistant city manager.
Okay,
David Reeves. Brother.
I don't know him though.
Okay.
I have some idea about this.
You do know something about Jay Meredith, right? So what do you guys think? Is this just gonna pass? Are the city residents going to say yes, and they're going to be parading in the streets? Why we want this kind of thing? This is let's tax our businesses out of business. Why? As Cheryl Walker says, just because just because you're driving down the street and you look up and you see all these boarded up buildings and the businesses that seem to be out of business. Remember when we did those people on the street interviews? It was right in front of a place that had a sign that said closed and whatever. Okay. Right. So, and that was on First Friday. Okay. So, but don't think of it that way, says Cheryl Walker. Think of the economic prosperity behind the closed windows. I don't know what she was saying. And, but there's a lot more. You need to look harder.
All we need to do is build some more handicap ramps. Everything will be just fine.
I'm surprised sometimes at these guys and what they think that they have in support from the local people. So, Mike, what's going to happen next when, this is going to go on the ballot. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be there. So what's going to happen next when the people of Grants Pass alone get the chance to vote on this and say, are you kidding me? No way.
Yeah, if it goes that way. Now, past experience with the levy votes, they generally vote for them. And so I don't know. This could be a squeaker. Now, there's probably a fair number of people in the city of Grants Pass who are business owners or who know business owners.
Things here?
Yeah. So, or that buy things there. Right. Exactly. So this will be interesting to see how this plays out. But I thought it was a very good point, this guy bringing up HJR 21, because, this is going to be on the ballot this November. In a couple of months here, this is going to be on the ballot. Well, HJR 21 is not going to, rear its ugly head until, the middle of next year and maybe 2 years. Who knows when it's coming? It's out there in the wings. We don't know when it's coming. But do you think they're going to kick back the sales tax if HJR 21 passes? No way. No way. No way.
I'm thinking what happens to, because the city people have been saying, the mayor has said, I think all the city councilors have said, look, we're pretty progressive around here. Really? And we
what
always
does that mean?
Yeah, and we always vote for a levy. Why, we're the people voting for a levy. Why, you can count on us to vote for a levy. And then they put up this thing all on their own. Let's have a sales tax. And if the people of Grants Pass do turn this down by any kind of margin, then how are they going to crow about the fact that we're always for taxes?
Boy, I'll tell you, the other good point that I think that was made during this whole thing is the divisiveness of this. And,
oh, brother,
the guy that was talking about how we're already mad at each other, and what it is there's a lot of people. As a matter of fact, this was put out here. I heard them talking about this on KJO that, hey, we're going to get back at those people in the county by passing a sales tax. And they're finally going to have to pay their fair share.
Their fair share.
Their fair share, because it was a good point that was made. 80% of the crime is happening in the city, and that's being heavily subsidized by people in the county who have no services whatsoever. And you're sitting down there with a 4-minute response time saying we're not paying our fair share.
Okay, so there's an easy way around this. What you do is every time when you go in and make a purchase, it's tedious. You show your driver's license. If it says that you live in Grants Pass, then you have to pay a sales tax. If it says that you live in Merlin or as you live in Cape Junction, you don't have to pay a sales tax.
Yes, but that won't work, because the part of their rationale, their justification for this tax is the fact that it gets back at these. This is a way to get those people out in the county to finally pay their fair share.
Oh, what I'm saying is
the arguments that's being made here.
But what I'm saying is, if you want to be fair, and only city residents, I'm a city resident, only city residents get a chance to vote on this, then doggone it, if you're going to vote for it, then only you should be able to pay it. Only you should have to pay it. You said, I want to tax myself, tax yourself. Don't tax
but that's never going to be part of the law.
No, of course not.
They want everybody to be paying this, but yeah.
Well, I'm sure if they could get away with it, they'd say, show your driver's license. Only those from outside the city are going to have to pay this, because we want to penalize them and not ourselves, of course, although we're the only ones that get to vote on it.
Well,
I think
the point that was brought up about HJR 21 that I think is really good too, and we've talked about this before, is that people that are already in areas, and he said 2%, what he really meant was $2 per thousand of assessed value.
That's correct.
As a minimum. But people have said, if you're already living in an area where you're taxed over 2% or over $2 per thousand, you're going to say, I'm subsidizing those people. And it's going to be sold to you that way, that you're subsidizing those people. And you're going to go, well, heck, I'm going to put a stop to that right now. And you're going to vote against it. This is the tyranny of the majority.
Well, here's where the two things come together. This is why you turn into the show, because we tell you how things come together. We show you the patterns. We show you goofy illustrations. Okay, so the way they come together is, if you don't like the idea that people in other counties are voting to raise our taxes, then do you like the idea that people in Grants Pass City are voting to raise everybody's sales tax?
Yeah. Divide and conquer.